This is the brand new Aerojet from Cobra. I want to know if it's going to outperform last year's LTDX because that was an awesome driver. Let's find out. What's up guys, welcome back to New 9 Golf. As I mentioned, this is the brand new Aerojet driver. In this video, I'm going to show you everything that has changed from the last year's model, and then I'm going to compare it. I'll get hits with the Aerojet, I'll get hits with the LTDX, and we'll find out if this driver is better than last year's. So if you guys have been to my channel before, you'll know that I love the Cobra LTDX LS. It won our 2022 Driver of the Year. Now that they've come out with the Aerojet, they've made some tweaks and changes to supposedly improve this driver. What I'll do for this video is I'll get a collection of data with my LTDX LS. Then I'll get a collection of data with the Aerojet, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blind test them. So I'll show you the data of both drivers, but I'm not gonna tell you which is which. I'll reveal which numbers were the best and if the Aerojet is outperforming the LTDX. Okay, so what's changed this year in the Aerojet is that why would Cobra want to change the 2022 Driver of the Year? This LTDX LS is hot. Okay, well, before you knock it, let me tell you what's changed in this year's Aerojet. So what Cobra did this year is they actually made this driver head more aerodynamic. They achieved that by getting smoother edges across the face, and they introduced a new face. So this face is actually no longer milled, it is precision forged. Also behind the face, Cobra has introduced the power bridge weighting. Okay, so what does that even mean? Essentially, the face is just becoming an even bigger trampoline. Okay, so what is that gonna do for me? Is it actually better than this one? Basically, this driver is supposed to help you hit it longer, straighter, and it's supposed to be more forgiving. Okay, well, you might as well hit them. Okay, you're right. So why don't we hit both drivers, get a collection of data, and then we'll show these guys which driver's better. So really quick before I hit it, I just wanted to tell you guys my opinion on how this thing looks. So Aerojet has 3 different models. There is the Aerojet LS for low spin, and they also have the Aerojet Max. Visually, when I put this thing down, I see about 98% carbon. This is new. This is also a glossy head. Last year was more of a matte finish. I was told that the carbon that they use on this driver is the same high quality carbon as like Lamborghinis and Ferraris. On the sole, it's my understanding Cobra's going with only one colorway. So the color combo is kind of a white, carbon, and blue with a very small amount of red. I think visually it is quite appealing. I don't think that the colors are too far out there. Overall, I think this looks very, very clean. I'm quite impressed. I would be really interested to hear what you guys think of the looks of the Aerojet. So comment below on what you think of the visuals of this new Aerojet. Okay, if any of you guys are new to the channel, my name's Brandon, I'm a scratch golfer. I am a consumer just like you guys. The way that I do these reviews is I'm gonna get a collection of 10 good hits. So I will hit the Cobra LTDX LS, which is my current driver. I'll then hit the Aerojet. I am using a TrackMan. The ball that I'm using is a Pro V1 RCT ball. I normally play a Pro V1. RCT is specific for TrackMan, so I can get the absolute best data for you guys. Where we are filming is Calgary, Alberta. We're about 3,300 feet elevation. So if my drive numbers look a little inflated to you guys that are at sea level, just take into account the elevation. Okay, I'm gonna start the collection of data with my current driver, which is the LTDX LS. This might look a little different than the LTDX LS you've seen in the past. This is the blacked out version. For this test, I am using my fitted shaft. This is the LA Golf Dustin Johnson shaft. It's extra stiff, low spin. I'm using this because I haven't been properly fit yet into the Aerojet, so I wanted just to keep my fit settings from my LTDX LS. Speaking of shafts, Cobra is offering 4 wicked stock options. You can get the helium shaft, but only in the Max Aerojet. You can also get the MCA Kylie Blue, Kylie White in a 60, and you can also get the Project X Hazardous Black Gen 4. So all of these shafts are the real McCoys. These are the real shafts from the manufacturers. They're not made for Cobra. So they're giving you a $450 shaft included as a stock option. That's pretty sweet. Okay, 15 good hits. I've always had a relatively good smash factor with this. Okay, now I've got the Aerojet in my hands. We're gonna start giving it some hits. I'm so excited to hit this. So they call it the Aerojet for a reason. I already can feel different aerodynamics in the Aerojet. It feels a little lighter at the back of the driver, but it's interesting. After just hitting my LTDX LS, it just feels different, like it feels kind of smooth. It's So let's get some hits and I can tell you what I feel and how it sounds. First swing felt great. I'm a big sound guy and I love the sound of that first hit. That sounded really good. This might be a problem for the LTDX LS. Those first two hits felt awesome. And I would say the feel just off of those two hits, it does feel improved from the LTDX LS. Let's keep going.
What are you looking for a new driver?
I would say forgiveness is big. You can see in my session today that I'm not painting the line by any means, right? So if I have those same kind of miss hits, I want to see it closer to the line. So dispersion is big. I would look for visuals. Visually, I think it looks really good. I could look down at this. Sound is huge. I've hit some new drivers that I just can't keep up with the sound, but not everyone's like that, right? Yeah. There's subscribers that we talk to that if the driver was pink and had unicorns on it, but it gave them the best numbers, they would still hit that because the data says so. It took me like 5 years to switch my last driver, which is the TaylorMade M3, into the Cobra LTDX LS. The things that I liked about it was obviously the data. So it was going further and I had tighter dispersion and it looked really good. So if I can get that same combination out of this driver, I would definitely consider switching. And look at the spin. The spin is way down. We talked about earlier that club face being a bigger trampoline. And I can feel that. I can feel the ball compress into the face. And I feel like I've had some on the toe and some on the heel, but they feel like center strikes. And I don't think I get that same feedback in the LTDX. If I could do that every single time, it's cool what it's capable of, right? That felt like a miss hit.
You did come in here a little skeptical.
Well, totally. I think everyone from a consumer's perspective is skeptical when you see a new driver every year. I think that's just natural,
For sure.
right? But so far in hitting this, I can feel the improvements. Honestly, like up across the face, how it sounds, like this driver has some incredible pop. It feels really good. I'm so excited to compare the data. Something else I just noticed on the crown of the driver, previously the LTDX had some raised kind of ribs on the top of the crown, and this is entirely flat this year in the Aerojet. Okay guys, we got our collection of data, and that was a really fun test. I would say feel-wise, hitting the new Aerojet feels awesome. So if you're considering getting a new Cobra, I 100% already recommend you hit it because it felt really good. Now we have our collection of data. So I'm not gonna show you which is which, I'll tell you that at the end, but let's just look at my averages, okay? So there is a clear winner, even just looking at my averages before I get to dispersion. So looking at my club head speed, they were very similar. So the difference is only 0.3 based on my average. Ball speed was higher on one. Spin was down on one of them, but still pretty optimal spin. Keep in mind, one of these drivers won my driver of the year last year, so they should be pretty good numbers. Carry, I noticed a huge difference. That's like almost 10 yards difference in one driver over the other. And the total is 7 yards further. So one of these drivers is definitely further than the other, but I'm not gonna tell you which one that is yet. Let's look at my dispersion. So you can see the two different color dots, both drivers. The white is one driver, the yellow is another driver. If I look at the white ball, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 7 left and 8 right. With the yellow, if I got rid of just 2 hits, think of how consistent that would be on the course. So I'm thinking, whatever driver I'm gonna choose, I want that dispersion. I wanna miss 2 out of 15 instead of 7 out of 15. That's super, super interesting. I wanna take a look at my best and my worst. Okay, for the first driver, I wanna take a look at the biggest carry that I got. It looks like the biggest carry I got was 319 carry and a 343 total. That's my long drive ball. That's the one we're trying to win the Pro Shop gift card for the old charity tournament. 343 is huge, but still for the most part, I'm anywhere between that 300 to 319. Okay, something I want to talk about is my worst hit. I just went over my best, so let's talk about my worst. My worst hit went 270, and it was a super snap hooky, but it rolled out to 310. What I noticed about the session with this driver is I only had really 2 miss hits, and that worst hit was not even close to the second miss hit. So if I'm only gonna do that once or twice out of 15 hits, like that's a driver that I want in my bag, okay? Let's take a look at the next driver. So the best hit that I had with the other driver was 313, so that's 6 yards behind the other driver. But looking at all of my carry is I wasn't consistently over 300 like I was with the other driver. So already one is definitely further. And looking at the dispersion, I was kind of all over the place. So I would say both drivers that I hit, it was not my best session by far. I had some misses, but one driver had more misses than the other. So if I look down the line, I have about half of my drivers left and the other half are going to the right. You can see with the other driver how tight the dispersion was, carrying 300, and like just look how tight that is. I said I only had 2 miss hits. This is crazy. Okay, if you guys haven't guessed already, the winner of that head-to-head was the Aerojet. We saw some definite big improvements. Am I gonna put this into my bag? Well, based on the dispersion that I got and how consistent this was, 100% I am considering it. If you're someone that's gonna be upgrading your driver that's say 5-year-old technology, you will see night and day differences in this Aerojet. If you're considering upgrading the LTDX like I am, I did see improvements, so it's hard to ignore the fact that it was tighter dispersion and it went further. But if you are still interested in the Cobra LTDX, check out my review right here. You can see me break down all the features. I had a lot of fun in this review and I was actually blown away by these results. Thanks again for watching this video. I'll check in with you next time.